Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my eyeshadow palettes collection video. I might do like a small declutter as well because I know there's some palettes in here that I haven't used since my last declutter, which is about 3 or so months ago. So I definitely want to share with you guys palettes I have in my collection, and then I'm also going to be filming like a complete like what's in all of my drawers collection video. I can kind of show you guys a sneak peek. Like I have those, I have these, and then I also have drawers over there, so that will be coming soon. But for right now I kind of wanted to do like an eyeshadow palettes collection video by its own because I feel like that kind of will take a lot of time, so I wanted to have its own video. So if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. I do upload 3 times a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so definitely subscribe so you don't miss out. And let's just go ahead and jump right into this collection slash mini declutter because there's not that many I want to get rid of. I still do have them in this drawer. If you guys saw my first declutter, everything is still in these drawers. So I have drugstore palettes, affordable palettes in these 2 first drawers here, and then my higher end palettes are in the bottom 2 drawers, which are right here and right here, which this drawer right here is actually really getting packed, so I kind of need to declutter some palettes. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let me scoot up my tripod here. So we're gonna start off with this first drawer right here. Kind of move the tripod a little bit so you guys can see a better angle of what's in the drawers. The first palette I have here is the Freak palette by Juvia's Place. Here is what that looks like. I think I am going to declutter this palette just because I have yet to use it since my last declutter, and I don't know, I just don't reach for this palette, so I'm going to declutter this. Next up I have the Nomad by Juvia's Place. I really do like this palette, so this one will stay in my collection, but I really enjoy Juvia's Place formula, super affordable and pigmented as well. Also will be keeping the Tri palette by Juvia's Place. I really like the color scheme in here. I think it's super pretty. I love green tones, I love orangey shades. I think it's a beautiful palette. Another palette that I have the color scheme on is this one, Deuce palettes by Juvia's. This is really like a wearable palette, and I thought about decluttering this, but I think I want to use it a little more, so I think I'm going to pick this in my next week's Shop My Stash video just because, again, it's a really beautiful color scheme and I would like to use this more. Next up, I have this palette by Juvia's. All these ones are Juvia's. This is the Festival palette, and I need to use this one a little more, but I'm definitely gravitated towards like the red and the orangey shades. I haven't used this palette a lot, but I don't think it's one that I would like to get rid of, so this is the Festival palette. Next up, I have the Warrior 2, and I really like this palette. This is like your perfect everyday browns, corals, oranges, burgundy type of shades, warms and neutral shades. Very cool, nice palette, very affordable again and pigmented. I really like this. This is one I had decluttered like a while ago, and I don't know, I just decided to put it back in my collection. This is the Nubian 2. So definitely going to use this more. Maybe I'll pick this with the Deuce palette next week so I can use it more and see what I don't know. I had decluttered it, but I put it back in my collection. Next up, I have the Magic Mini by Juvia's. I had the big one, and it was just too big. Like the eyeshadows are huge. Let me show you guys. Like this is the regular size eyeshadows, and like nobody needs that much eyeshadow like this size when you can get it in a mini, especially for the collection that I do have. So I sold my big one and I got the mini and really enjoyed this palette. This is one of my favorite ones by Juvia's. And then this one's also a favorite of mine, the Masquerade Mini as well. Also had the full size and just recently picked up the mini. Really like the color scheme in here. You get neutral everyday shades and then you get fun pops of color up here. Definitely I'm not getting rid of this. I just got it. This one is by ColourPop. This is the Give It To Me Straight palette. And here's the inside. I actually haven't used this in a while, so I think I'm going to get rid of this. I don't know. I just don't reach for it. I do like this like for traveling, but honestly, like I don't really use these kinds of shades. And I don't know, I have all these other shades in my collection, so I'm going to get rid of this. Next up, this is a favorite of mine. This is the Good Sport palette by ColourPop. I love the color scheme in here, and I think it's such a beautiful palette as well. Definitely enjoy using this. The Element of Surprise palette by ColourPop. I've used a few times, but the times that I have used it, I didn't really enjoy it. So I am also going to be getting rid of this. I don't know, I got this in BoxyCharm a few months ago. I don't again enjoy it. When I've used it, I feel like the formula is a little off, so I am going to get rid of this. Next up is the Dream Street palette, Kathleen Lights times ColourPop. I love this palette, definitely not getting rid of this. It's so pretty and definitely love that. Also really liked this palette, but I haven't used it in a while. It's very messy because the packaging is just horrible, but I actually really like the color scheme in here. I love like warm tone shades. I'm definitely keeping that. Next up, I have the Zodiac, also a collab with Kathleen Lights and ColourPop. I thought about decluttering this and just buying like the single shadows that I do like in this palette, but I already spent the money on this, so I might as well keep it. I don't know, what do you guys think? But I don't feel like you can create like an everyday kind of look with this, kind of. I don't know. It's okay palette. I don't know. Maybe in the future I will declutter that. I have 3 of these monochromatic palettes. The first one is the Ooh La La by ColourPop. This is the pinky one. I really like this. Keeping that. Also really love the Main Squeeze. Also keeping this. I love it a lot. And then lastly, I have It's My Pleasure palette. These are purple tones. Really enjoy these colors as well. So here's the other palette I have by ColourPop that's monochromatic. I used this today in a look that I created. This is the Honey palette. I really enjoyed this palette, so definitely keeping this. And then I'm going to share with you guys these other palettes I have in this week's Shop My Stash. This is by the brand Certified. This is the Affinity palette. I picked this because I thought it was pretty much a good dupe for the new Jacqueline x Morphe palettes volume 2. I've been on the fence whether to get it or not, and I remembered the colors that I gravitated towards were in this palette that I have here, so I decided to pull it out this week to use it. So far I've really been loving it. I do like it. I don't know, I'm still on the fence whether getting volume 2 by Morphe and Jacqueline Hill, but this one I do like. And then I also have this one by Tati Beauty in this week's Shop My Stash week, and really have been enjoying this as well. I've used like 3 of these glitters already and really enjoy it, so definitely not getting rid of this in this small little declutter. So also by ColourPop, I have the A Flutter palette. This is a limited edition palette. I really like this though. I love the colors in here. I think they're super beautiful. Definitely not getting rid of that. Also have this Chasing Rainbows palette by ColourPop. This was limited edition. I don't believe they have this anymore. I like this palette when I've used it. It's been a while since I have, but I really like it. I also have this Profusion palette in the Siennas palette. This is really nice and pigmented and very affordable. If you guys are eyeing it, I would definitely recommend it. I'll be keeping this for now. And then I also have the Wanderlust palette by Profusion as well. I decided to keep this one because it has purples and greens and more like neutral shades as well. So I'll keep this as well. They do send me some PR, so that's the reason why I have those. Next up, I have the Essence Never Give Up Your Daydream, and I believe this was really like fast limited edition because I don't think they have this on their site anymore. I ended up ordering it and then like a few weeks later it was gone, like it wasn't on their site anymore. But I love this because it's like pastel-y shimmer shades. It's all shimmer palette, and I just like it for like lid colors and also like inner corner highlights. I think it's a really pretty palette. This one is the After Dark palette by Bad Habit, and I really like this palette, but I don't know. I was thinking about decluttering this, but now that I'm looking at it again, like this survived the last declutter too because I really enjoyed it. I decluttered all the other Bad Habit ones, but Bad Habit doesn't exist. I don't know, but I still like this palette, so I'm just going to keep it. One that I am going to just declutter is this one right here. This is the Bad Habit Cult Mania palette, and this is a dupe to one of the Pat McGrath palettes that I do have. I don't know, I just decided maybe it's just time, you know, I haven't used it since my last declutter, so I'm just again gonna go ahead and declutter this. Again, this is just like a mini declutter because just wanted to do more of a collection video. This is the Alamar Cosmetics Reina del Caribe palette. Here's what the inside looks like. I do like the palette, but I'm not like in love with it or anything. I do have many of these shades in here. I don't know, like these shades that are in here are the same as these shades over here, like mostly, right? Like these shades and like this brown. This brand doesn't exist anymore, so I feel like I like the formula on this better than that one though. So I don't know. Let's see. maybe I will keep both of them for now, because I do like this shimmer shade right there. It's so pretty, like a greenish, but again, I do have like all these other shades. I don't think I'll miss this palette, so I think I'm just should declutter both of these actually. Like, yeah, you like this palette, but no, I'm gonna keep this one because I really like it. But this one, I think I'm just going to declutter it. I'm just gonna declutter it. Next up is this BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette, and I really enjoy these. The pigmentation is super, super nice. This was a limited edition palette, so they don't sell this anymore, but I still do like it, so I am going to keep that. And then the last two palettes in here, the first one is the Take Me Back to Brazil. It worked pretty well. To be honest, I haven't used this a lot. I was thinking of decluttering this, but this will be nice to have more of another colorful palette when I do colorful looks. So I think I'm going to keep this. And then this is the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. Here's what this looks like. When I've used this, I've really loved this palette. The shimmers are actually super nice, and actually also the mattes are really nice. So I am going to keep this. I decided right now that I'm putting stuff away, I'm just going to declutter this one again, the Nubian by Juvia's Place too. I have these shades, so I'll declutter that as well. I'm trying to kind of condense and keep stuff that I'll actually wear, so let's go ahead and kind of do that. So this drawer's looking a little better now, not super packed, which is nice. So let's go on to the next drawer. So this drawer isn't great. So yeah, let's go ahead and declutter. I haven't used this in a while. This is the Maybelline Soda Pop palette, and I have enjoyed it when I've used it, so I think I'm just gonna keep it. Next up, this is the NYX Ultimate Multi-Finish palette. I kept this from the last round because I don't really have these kinds of colors. I think I'm gonna keep this because I don't really have those shades. This is by Revolution. This is the Reloaded Neutrals 3 palette. This is such a really beautiful palette. I think I'm going to keep it, and if I don't use it in my next declutter, then I will get rid of it. This one is the Makeup Revolution x Soph X palette. Here is what that looks like. I haven't used this in a while, so I think I'm just going to declutter this. Next up is the Revolution palette, the Unconditional Love. This one I do really like, and I feel like the color scheme is super beautiful as well. So I am going to keep this as well. This is the Makeup Geek x Manny MUA palette. I feel like the formula's gotten a little bad on this, so I might just declutter like a few of these shades and then get rid of the rest. So I think I'll keep it for now. Again, I might just declutter some of the colors. This one is the Collab eyeshadow palette in Best of the Day. This is like a mini modern renaissance dupe. I actually really enjoy the quality of this. It's not super powdery like the ABH formula is, and I really enjoyed this when I took it with me on my trip to New York once when I went a few years ago. I really enjoyed the palette, so I'm going to keep that. This is an empty lip palette that I'll need. This is by Pixi. I don't really have that many cool tone palettes, so I think I'm going to keep this. This is in Natural Beauty. Next up, I have this Morphe palette. It's the 25C Hey Girl Hey palette. Here's what the inside looks like. I really enjoy this formula. Is really, really nice. And I actually really like, when I've used this palette, it's usually just for these shades right there. I think this was a limited edition palette too. So I'm thinking maybe I should declutter it, because you can tell like the shades that I reach for are like the bright ones. So I guess I'm gonna declutter this. Next up, definitely keeping this. This is the Morphe Boss Mood 35M palette. Really enjoy this palette. I like the color scheme in here. I think it's really pretty and really enjoy the palette when I use it. So definitely keeping that. Next up, I have the Jaclyn Hill OG palette here. Here's what mine looks like. I do have a lot of palettes, so not a lot of them will have pan. If any of them, the ones that do have pan are probably because they were in project pans. But this one I do enjoy, so I'm going to keep that. Also have the Morphe James Charles palette, which I am also going to keep. I really enjoy the palette when I used it. If I ever declutter this, I'll probably just use it, end up keeping it for my freelance kits. And then over here, I have the NYX Swear By It palette. I really enjoyed this palette. Kind of forgot I had this, so I definitely need to pull this out in a future Shop My Stash. Next up, this is the Revolution, the Emily Edit The Wands palette. I think I'm going to declutter this as well. I only really reach for like these shades, and I like the green in here, but other than that, I don't think it's like an amazing palette or anything like that. So I think I'm just going to declutter this. Decluttering more than I thought I would. This is the Lick and Lash Beauty Playful palette. This is so pretty. I've only used it a few times as well, because this is more of a like a let's create an IG look, not like everyday go to work type looks. But really enjoy the pigmentation, super nice. This is a UK brand and I just really like it. I got it when it was like 30 or 40% off, so I like this. So I'm definitely keeping this, and also will be keeping my EYN Bright Matte palette, which is a full rainbow palette. I really enjoy it. The quality is super nice, and this was only $20, so I would definitely recommend this if you guys are eyeing for like an affordable, nice quality palette. I would definitely recommend that. So here's what this drawer is looking like. I'm not going to touch these over here because those are single shadows, and I'm actually going to do like a rearranging my single eyeshadows video soon, so those will stay there. But I think this is looking good so far, keeping stuff that I'll actually use. This is the start of my high end. I don't think I'm going to get rid of very many in here. The first one is this KK Beauty Classic Eyeshadow Palette, and I decided to get like a more natural type of palette to try KK Beauty, but to be honest, I'm not like in love with this palette or anything. I just got this a few months ago, so I think I want to kind of use it again for another Shop My Stash and see if I want to keep it or not. But I wasn't like impressed or anything, but I wasn't disappointed either. It was alright, like it was mediocre to be honest to me. So I'm just gonna keep this for now. Also, we'll be keeping my Master Palettes by Mario and ABH. I was thinking that I need to pull this in a future Shop My Stash ASAP because it was super pretty and I really enjoyed that. Next up is the Jackie Aina palette. I love this palette. This is one of my favorite palettes by ABH, and here is what mine is looking like. I really like this, definitely keeping this. Next up is the ABH Prism palette. I think it's a pretty palette, but to be honest, I don't really reach for this, so I think I am going to get rid of it. Subculture. I have a love-hate relationship with this. I think I'm gonna keep it for now. I haven't played with it since my last declutter, so we'll keep that. Next up is Soft Glam by ABH. This was gifted to me by my friend Jasmine. Definitely keeping this. This is really nice. I'm not a big fan of ABH formula. I always mention it, and yes, I have a whole bunch of them because the color scheme is what gets me, but that's why I have them. I still buy them even though I'm not a fan. But anyways, next up is the Riviera palette by ABH. I dinged my nail in that shade, and I think I'm going to keep this as well just because it's fun palette. And then lastly here is the Sultry palette by ABH. This is more of a cool tone palette, which I don't have very many of, which I do like the shimmer shades in here a lot. This shade makes me mad every time I use it because it's so powdery. But other than that, the shimmer shades are super pretty, so definitely going to keep that. This is the Tarte Tartelette in Bloom palette. I was going to get rid of this in my last declutter and then ended up keeping it. But honestly, I've reached for it a few times since my last declutter, and I'm thinking maybe I should just get rid of it. But I don't know, for some reason, I'm just like, no, like you should keep it. Like it's not that bad. I don't know, we'll see. Next up is this Pure Festival palette, and I think I'm going to declutter this one because I pretty much only reach for, I love these shades. But like these shades I don't really use. The glitters were okay, and I have all these shades in other palettes, so I'm going to get rid of that. Next up, I have the ABH Norvina Volume 1. I really like this palette a lot. This is like a pressed pigment palette. Love this palette, definitely not getting rid of this. And then also really like the ABH Norvina Collection palette, Volume 3. And this is what mine looks like. I really like this palette as well. Definitely not getting rid of this either. Tartelette will survive another declutter, I guess, and we'll see what happens next time. This is the Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes palette. I really like this palette. I thought I was gonna declutter it, but I pulled it in a recent Shop My Stash and I really enjoyed it, so definitely keeping this. I also have another ABH palette. This is a volume 1 mini. Really like this. This I did find that it's more like comparable formula to like the rectangle ones than like the volume ones, but I still do like it. I like the color scheme, so I'm gonna keep that. The Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, I don't know. I think I should just declutter this, to be honest, because I don't really reach for this very much. So I'm going to get rid of that. Too Faced Chocolate Gold Bar. I don't reach for this very often, but I have reached for it just for the shimmer shades. I picked this in last week's Shop My Stash, and I actually enjoyed it, so this will survive a declutter. The Huda Beauty Topaz Obsessions, I like definitely keeping. Mauve Obsessions, I was on the fence about. Definitely need to use it more to see if I want to declutter that. Neon Orange, this one's super cool. Definitely not getting rid of this. This one is the Ruby Obsessions, which I do like. Definitely keeping. Medium Nude by Huda Beauty, love this so much. Definitely keeping this. Huda Beauty Emerald Obsessions, not my favorite, but I keep it for sentimental reasons because that's my daughter's birthstone. So Topaz is my husband's and Ruby is mine, so that's why I picked those up. Sugar Pill Fun Size palette, I've used a few times. I don't have very many pastel shades, so definitely going to keep this. And you know what? I was just thinking that I said I really love this, so I think I'm just going to get rid of my Tartelette in Bloom just because I do like it, but I didn't say like I love it like I do this one. So we're just gonna go ahead and declutter that. Next up is a Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. Here's what mine's looking like. I really enjoy this palette. It's definitely been a while since I've used it, so I definitely want to pull it in a future Shop My Stash very soon. Really enjoyed this palette right here by Tarte. This formula is super, super nice, actually, and I have more like color scheme in here. So yeah, I'll declutter the Tartelette and keep this one. Next up, I have the Lime Crime Venus XL palette, which I do really like as well. Get a lot of like burgundies and pinky tone shades, so I'm definitely going to keep this. I do need to use this one more because I haven't used it since my last declutter. It's been 3 months, wow. But I do like the color scheme in here, so I need to pick this in a future Shop My Stash as well. So this is the Like a Boss by Violet Voss. Violet Voss, Like a Boss, that's funny. Yeah, this is super pretty. It has like everyday kind of shades, but also has some pops of color, which is nice. Next up, I have this Viseart Dark Edit palette, and I was kind of mad because I actually got this for free with my points from Sephora, but I was mad when I got this because it's so small. This is like $40, but it's definitely worth it. This palette is really nice and pigmented. Definitely keeping that. I have two of the Dos of Colors palettes. I have Sassy Siennas, which I love. I'm not getting rid of that. And then I also have Baked Browns, which I also like a lot, so I'll be keeping both of these. Smoke Sessions by Melt Cosmetics is super nice, but it's very, very crumbly, and it does make me mad sometimes when I'm trying to use it, because when you dip your brushes into the shimmers, it just kind of like falls apart, which sucks, but I do like this palette and I like the shimmers. I also have the palette 27 by Melt Cosmetics. This is a pretty like everyday kind of palette. It's really nice. I do enjoy it. I need to use it more because it's not showing so much use, but I do like it. This is the Muerte palette by Melt Cosmetics, which I love. I decided to keep the box, but honestly I can probably just get rid of it. Here is what mine looks like. Super beautiful palette. Really like it a lot. Definitely keeping this. I think I'm gonna get rid of the box. I also have the Vida palette, my new eyeshadow palette drawer. I just kept it there because I haven't used most of the shades. I've pretty much only used one shade out of this palette, so I left it in there. I've only used the red, but this is the Vida palette by Melt Cosmetics, which is beautiful as well. This was a gift from my friend Stacy that I need to use, so this has been living in my new palette drawer. And then also in the new palette drawer, I do have the Zulu by Juvia's Place, which I thought about decluttering, and I was gonna do like a Sugar Pill like pro palette, and then what I noticed was that I was picking like these kinds of shades, like the mattes, and I was like, Mariela, you have the Zulu palette that you have yet to use, but you're gonna create a Sugar Pill palette that has the same shades that you're creating that's in here. And I decided that I need to not buy the Sugar Pill and just use this palette right here. So this is also in the new palette drawer. And then I also did have this Beach Cosmetics Shan XO the remix in my new palette drawer, which I have yet to use. So I think I'm just going to put this like aside for a giveaway or something, because again, I haven't used it. I'm more gravitated towards this side. But honestly, like, I have all these shades in multiple palettes, so I think I'm just going to declutter this again, but this will go in a future giveaway. And if you're interested in any of my palettes, I am going to be putting them on my Poshmark, so definitely look there. Back to my drawer, I do have the Gemini palette by Melt Cosmetics. This is beautiful. You get neutrals and green tone shades. Very, very pretty. Definitely keeping this. Dose of Colors Friendcation palette is awesome. I love this palette. Every time I've used it is bomb. I like it. I'm keeping it. Dominique Cosmetics Latte palette. Really enjoy this formula. Super nice. I really like this palette a lot. Definitely keeping that. Celestial Storm by Dominique Cosmetics is super pretty as well. I feel like this is not really like an everyday kind of palette. It's more for like dramatic IG looks, in my opinion. I haven't used it very much as the latte, but I think it's a good palette to pair these two together. So yeah, I like it. So I'm keeping it. This is the Ace Beauty Classical Paradise palette. I do like the palette. This has been in multiple times where I thought about decluttering, but this will survive another one. And then I also do have the Paradise Fallen, which is purples and like gray tone shades. I really like this, definitely keeping that. And then I have two more. The first one is the Oceanic palette by Ace Beauty. Love this. This is so pretty. Definitely not getting rid of this. And then lastly, I have the Ace Beauty Grandiose palette, which I actually really enjoy. So I am also going to keep this because I really like it. We got this in BoxyCharm and I really enjoyed it. So this is how this palette drawer is looking like. It looks like only decluttered like 4 palettes out of this drawer. So yeah. And then the last drawer here is another one that I will be decluttering. I think I am going to. Not this one. This is by P. Louise. This is a Secret Center palette. The packaging is so bulky, but the shadows are really nice. And definitely going to keep this palette right here. This was gifted to me by my friend Naya, so definitely keeping that. I do have 5 of the Kaleidos makeup palettes. This is the VR Neon palette, which looks like this. This is really nice. The shimmers are super nice as well. Definitely keeping these. These are all sent to me by Kaleidos Makeup, by the way. This is the Sci-Fi Green palette. Super beautiful if you're just wanting like green tone shades, kind of like the Melt. This one's super nice. This one is the Cyber Bronze, which is also very nice as well. Really like that. I like these formulas. These are nice. This is the Electro Turquoise palette, which is really fun. I like teal shades and that pop of neon is cool. I like it. And then lastly is the Astro Pink palette right here, which is fun as well. I do like this as well, so definitely keeping those. This Urban Decay Electric palette, I think I'm going to like depot. I don't know. I don't want to get rid of it because these shadows are really cool. So old though, but I'm definitely keeping that. This one is the Born to Run palette by Urban Decay. Really enjoy this. Needs a little more love from me, but the times I've used it, I do enjoy. This is the Balm in Your Hand. I really like this palette. I took it with me on a cruise and I really enjoyed it. You got the blushes, the bronzer, the highlight. You got some eyeshadows. You can use these as eyeshadow as well. I really enjoyed this palette, so I am going to keep that. This is the Meet Matrimony palette by The Balm as well. This was in a project pan a while ago. I feel like I could declutter this, but it's really loved on, so I think I'm just going to keep it. Next up is the Sigma palette Warm Neutrals 2. I really like this palette. I need to reach for it more, especially when I'm traveling, because this is definitely like a great everyday quick out the door palette look, creating looks. So I'm gonna keep that. This one was also gifted to me by my friend Jasmine. This is the MAC Flamboyant palette. This is really nice and I actually enjoyed it. I hadn't used MAC shadows in a while, but I did enjoy it. Next up, I have the Conspiracy palette by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, which I love. Need to pull this out as well. I have so many, but I enjoy it. I really like it. Next up, I have the Carnival palette by Be Perfect and Stacey Marie. And this is a pretty fun palette. I reach for this for colorful looks as well, so we'll keep this. I have 2 Natasha Denona palettes right here. I have the Cranberry palette, which I do like a lot. Definitely not getting rid of this. And then this one is a Holiday Joya palette as well that I won't be getting rid of. I do like these two palettes. I have a melt stack. This is the Love Sick stack, which has purple, like these colors, which are nice. And then I have a Baby Girl stack, which are super nice as well. I do enjoy this palette a lot as well, so definitely keeping those. I was thinking of decluttering these, you guys. This is a Pat McGrath Bronze Ambition palette. The packaging is kind of bulky, but I don't know. I've only used this a few times. I just don't feel like I need these, so I don't know. And then this one was a holiday palette, Bronze Temptation. I definitely don't need both of them. I think this one was a limited edition palette. I think I'm going to declutter both of these palettes, to be honest. I like them, but I'm not like in love with them or anything. I'm going to declutter both of these. Next up, I have this Mothership Subversive palette. And I think I'm going to keep this one just because it's an all shimmer palette. And I really like Pat McGrath's shimmers. And more than the mattes, the shimmers are really nice. So I am going to keep this one. And then I also have one of the big Papa palettes here, which I'm not going to declutter either, just because I spent a lot of money on it. This is the Mothership 5 palette. Here's what mine looks like. Again, I had the dupe, but I'm going to obviously keep the OG. This is super nice. Definitely not getting rid of this. Next up, I have a Natasha Denona. This is the Mini Nude palette. Definitely not getting rid of this. This is really nice quality. I didn't like the Mini Sunset palette. I returned that one, but the Mini Nude I really like. This is the Queen of Hearts palette by Colored Rain. Really love this palette as well, so I'm definitely going to keep this. Androgyny palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I really enjoyed it. I pulled it in a few weeks ago in my Shop My Stash and I really liked it, so definitely keeping that. Jeffree Star Cosmetics Thirsty palette. Need to put this in a future Shop My Stash to see. You can tell I haven't really used it much, but gonna keep this in. Jawbreaker palettes, love it. Definitely not getting rid of this. I love that you get pastels and fun bright colors. Definitely keeping that. Also really love the Blood Sugar palette by Jeffree Star. This needs more loving as well, but do enjoy this, so definitely keeping this. I have 3 more Natasha Denona palettes. This one is the Blue Purple palette, which I love. These shimmer shades are beautiful. Definitely I'm not getting rid of this. I also have the Gold palette, which needs more love with how expensive these palettes are, but I really enjoy it. Super, super pretty. And then the last palette I have here is the Sunset palette. I feel like this formula is different compared to the Purple Blue palette and also the Gold palette. I don't know, like I feel like these shadows are like gritty, not gritty, but like more drier, because I feel like Natasha Denona formula is like creamy, but this one feels like a little dry, so I might pull this in a future Shop My Stash and see if I'm gonna keep it or not, but for now it will survive my declutter. So this is what the last palette drawer is looking like. I actually like the way this is looking, because if you guys saw it earlier, maybe I'll put this like there, but if you guys saw it earlier, it was kind of like messy and you couldn't really, like the palettes weren't nicely stacked. And then these are the palettes I'm getting rid of, you guys. Let me move real quick, put them up here. So these are the palettes I'm going to get rid of right here. So I got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 palettes. Again, this was a mini declutter. This was mostly to show you guys what I have in my collection. But other than that, those are all the palettes I'm going to be sharing with you guys. My makeup collection video is coming. Again, I'm going to go through all of my drawers and the ones that are over there as well. Show you guys everything I have in my collection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.